So yeah, what was we talking about? The thing with Russia where the corporations left.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were reading. I think that was a
Yeah,
while
and
back.
we were talking about food corporations like McDonald's, and I said that Russians have very good whatever they cook there, cuisine, I would call it, or whatever. And I remember tasting some of it, and it was really nice. So they can replace burgers and they can replace fries and stuff like that, but they also have their own choices and they make them fast food as well.
You see, this is what makes me very curious is the creation part of
Mm,
it. For everyday people
mm,
that are Russians,
mm,
everyday people that are there, as what potential new avenues can they build from creation is a long process.
mm,
Destruction is very quick. So everyone left, it was
mm,
very quick. But then there's that longevity of creation
mm,
afterwards. And then I admire China for how far they've come on such little and how well they've become and they've grown. It's quite an amazing process to see it all, and I was really fascinated, actually impressed with how quick they rolled out one of those hospitals during COVID.
mm.
That was impressive to see some of that. And then where does this open the door for new things to come? This is always it
Yeah,
always
yeah,
happens like this. So you know we're looking at World War. We was talking about I don't know if you try to build something in this day and age, the other other corporations are so dominating
mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
yeah,
they're able to get it quicker, they're able to get it cheaper, they're
mm-hmm.
able to do this, they're able to put it out, they're able to do this, and a lot of it they're able to undercut an awful lot of what the council would want and this, that, and the other, and everything else. The councils here make it very impossible for you to lift anything. You're not allowed to work from your home. You can't have a company inside your house. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do this. And then you've got your landlords that are saying, you must ask us. You must ask us. You've got to tell us this. You've got to tell us that. And then is that because you've got to tell them because they want to make sure and help you with the best way possible? Or is it to hinder your ability to do stuff?
Yeah,
Which I think is the ability to hinder. And then they tell the council, and then the council are like, "Oh, you're not allowed solar panels. Oh, you can't have wind turbines. Oh, you can't do this." And then it becomes quite a. We've been brought up to understand that that is dictatorship,
mm,
but then when I look at dictatorship, I don't see it that way.
mm,
From what I'm being made to look at, you know
mm.
how it is with media and different stuff like that. So this is something very different to me. Then it
Yeah,
doesn't fit into communist
mm,
dictating. It's something completely different. It's almost like by design, it's to keep you down.
mm,
And I think that most people don't want to work in a corporation.
mm.
I think that they want to build their own little empire and make their own,
Yeah,
especially small businesses and different stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You see, we got here where they roll out houses, yeah? And you've got some for social housing. You tell me where they have any social businesses. So a plot somewhere that is made for people who may be social housing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on low income.
Yeah,
When I do the maths with it, it's nigh on impossible for you to start a business. And they'll say, "Oh, look, you're blaming this, you're blaming." No, no, it's not blame. It's called being realistic. If you would like to sit down with a pen and paper and we'll have a little tutorial and we'll sit down
mm,
and we'll say, without no chances from a bank somewhere, without no chances from or help from anywhere else, to try and do this stuff, majority of it on your own,
mm-hmm.
is nigh on impossible.
Mm,
And we can sit down and do a little tutorial. This is nothing that I am blaming. This is reality. And this is the way the world is here in Western culture. That is it. That is how it is. So anyone else that wants to say that it isn't that way, you need to have yourself looked at. Stop believing everything that because another company is telling you this. It is literally is what I would say is the corrupt pinnacle. And then when I noticed that these corporations left Russia, I noticed that they had a lot of opportunities arise. But everyday people were then able to start making stuff. Everyday people were freed. They started building stuff. And then I was looking at it and some were saying that the economy there is doing quite well. And then others will say, no, the economy's going to pot. I don't know. If you're starting to build it and you've got your own money, so like the UK's got the pound, yes? So if you start to utilize your pound and corporations disappear, yes? You can start to build things. People are freed. They might be able to have a shot at it. And, if you keep it local with a wider audience, but again, when you start going national, I think that's when it becomes a problem. When companies go national, and then they dominate the market. The Coca-Cola dominates the drinks machine. Think about that.
Internationally, not just...
Yeah, internationally and everywhere else. So if you even were to attempt to make a drink, you got to get past an awful lot of stuff first.
Yeah.
And then there's copyright on ingredients, patents on stuff.
Yeah.
So someone can't make a Coca-Cola drink with a pineapple twist. Becomes very difficult. Why? I'm not saying that this is all related to Coca-Cola, but you've patented it.
Yeah.
Therefore, those ingredients you can't use.
You have to use different ones.
Yeah,
There
but
are
the different ingredients they
forms
know,
of-
and all the ones that taste good they've bought.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? If I was making a drinks company, and this is what I think happens, is that if you buy all of the brands that are taste really good, that are good competition to you, you buy and patent all of those so that no one else can use them, and then what's left are the really toxic, bad, foul tasting ones. What do you think this naturally does? Although I've cashed in on a lot of other cola brands that taste close to my brand, you've bought all of those, but you only keep your one signature, and the rest that you've left, you've tasted and been like, oh, they're terrible. So then these other companies have to make it from those types of brand, and you leave yours there. Which one is going to be the best? Always yours. So yes, you might have paid it on the patents, but it doesn't matter. Really doesn't. You can alternate these in different nations. And then I noticed this in Germany just before the war, when they started pulling out all of these products. History always repeats, it seems to be in this case. You've got it going on in America right now. I think where the rest of the world is sort of throwing back on the different brands and different things like that. This undoubtedly allows other nations to start building their own stuff. But it can also be looked at of Russia and the Second World War, because you never know. I'm not saying that it is true, but here it would be, I think, that the UK with large amounts of money, being a government king or whoever, could then start building these brands with all of that money. This is it. Who do you guarantee is going to make you an e-cigarette? An average Joe with no money, no experience, or a tobacco company? With already a load of money.
Yeah.
And already a load of wages to be paid. Yeah, they'll go in a little bit of a loss, but they would bump back up if they are successful. And usually that's how it works. So when you ask that question, you then have that. Okay, who's going to make you an electric car? A company that is in existence, or a company that hasn't even formed yet?
Some car maker,
Some car maker.
because they already have some of it.
Who's going to make you chocolate?
Someone who's make other sweet stuff, if not chocolate.
Or someone with money, or is given a chance. It's the way it is. It's just the way it is. And I don't think that that is a fair representation of talent or anything else. How many people go about in their kitchens and they always talk about Gran's cookie, Nan's cookies? I think some people say grandma. I say Nan, meaning my mum's mum, yeah?
Yeah.
And everyone says, oh, Nan's cookies are the best. Gran's cookies are the best. Why are they not out in shops?
And there are so many recipes.
There's so many recipes that we just don't know about because they never see the light of day. So where is that? And then when you ask these people, which I have, why don't you make this? Nah, there's no point. Well, why not? Well, because I need this, I'd need that, I'd need this. By the time I've calculated it, my buns or this or cake would be the most expensive in the shop. No one's going to buy it. Then I need to hire a load of people to make that. And how do I do that without the money? I then need to speak to a bank. Banks imply interest. When they get through all the interest, so they're very knowledgeable in making a business, but there's so many problems as to why they don't. And then these people struggle for most of their life working in factories of other people that have been around since the days of time. So you see these lemonade bottles that say that they've been around since 1806.
Yeah.
And then a chocolate company that's been around since 1886. And then a shop brand has been around since this long. And they'll say, oh, we weren't really around that long. We just bought it. That's what they want you to believe. I don't think that's true. I think they have been around that long. But you mean to tell me that then since then, there has been nothing new rise up? Nothing. Why not? That's weird. So that, in that many time, how many generations have existed?
Yeah, because
Since 1806, yeah? So 1806, how many family generations of a population of Britain have been around and have never made anything since? The only ones who have started to make things is supermarkets. But their ingredients are questionable at best.
yeah, because they buy the good tasting cookies or something and then stop making. They buy
Yeah,
the,
they buy it to stop making
Yeah,
it in order so that they've got the patent or
to
the recipe
sell
to
their
then say,
cheap ones.
to then say that you can't.
Yeah.
So if you start to make that, you're then hit with copywriting, which you're not. You've just used a couple of ingredients. Well, that tastes kind of similar to this person. I mean, if it was music, then it means the first person that made rap music, no other rapper would be able to come
Yeah.
because you're rapping.
Yeah.
You just see that it's like,
Nonsense.
yeah, absolutely nonsense.
Yeah.
But it works different when it's a food industry.
Yeah.
This has got to stop. Well, no, it's got to carry on because it keeps you working in the places that are that.
I used to buy cakes and stuff like small for snack for work in Prague from small businesses where they have just a little stall somewhere in the morning. I used to do that, but obviously they are a bit more expensive than when you go to some big shop.
Yeah, but that company that's got made that snack bar knows that they will never get into a shop. Never.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they have to do that. And then they're not making as much because they're people that they're not reaching out to. And that usually these little vendors end up only lasting for a few months. Then it dies off for a bit because it becomes too expensive.
This was okay because it was in the city and near subway.
Yeah,
so
I say
they were
okay, but
there
I'm pretty sure they're
for
not.
years.
They can make a lot more if they
Yeah.
were put into a supermarket. And
Yeah,
I
of
thought that
course.
supermarkets were about allowing products of all people in all places to put their stuff in their shop. And may the best brand for that month win. The more food you've got generating inside that shop. But it's not about that. They want these logos, these brands, these this, these that. It's all got to be properly done, properly packaged. It's got to look nice on their shelf. They don't want a sandwich bag with Nan's cookies in it.
Yeah.
And then, again, here we go again. Do you know how much that cost? An average Joe can't afford to add that onto their overheads, plus hire loads of people to make some stuff, plus get all of the utensils. And then they tell me, oh, you're just making excuses as to why you can't make a business. No. I'm asking all the people that ran the marathon before me.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Well, you haven't tried it yourself. Well, whoa, with that much evidence, I don't think I need to. And then, when I start looking over every other nation, it's all the same. You're doing this in every single nation. And you mean to tell me that these people there that are chiming the same story in a different language, these people here chiming the same story in another language, these people over here in your native language are saying the same thing, and you mean to tell me that's because I never went out and tried anything?
No, it's not that. I remember then that in Czech Republic people only make cookies on Christmas time because they know that other people will buy them. That's the only time when it can be expensive because they will look very nice, different chocolate, vanilla, whatever, different shapes, different colors, everything. That's the only time when other people that do not have that business will bake some cookies to make a little bit extra. It won't be much.
Do you know who's killing all the car boots? The council.
Yeah.
Do you know who's killing all of these Christmas markets?
Oh,
The council. You've got to be VAT. You've got to be able to sell your pitch. Do you know who killed Snetterton Market?
Who did?
Council. Rules, regulations that are beyond anything. And you honestly think that the shops are sticking to these rules and regulations? You go to complain about a shop to them and they say, well, we can't get involved. Why not? Because it's private land. Hello, I got my car hit. Oh, it's private land. It's supermarket. We can't do anything. In fact, they have to invite us onto that land. Right you are. But yet, do I have to invite you onto my land that I bought?
No.
No, you
They
can walk on there
themselves,
whenever you
yeah.
want to, so can the council, and then you get to lay down your law inside my land, a bit of forest that I've bought, but yet you can't do it to a supermarket, but yet you can do it to a piece of land that I have bought.
Yeah, you would have to buy it as a corporation.
So again, who are these people sticking up for then? You, the people that pay the tax, or the companies that don't pay the tax?
We know.
So it seems that if you don't pay the tax, you get more power.
Yeah.
So this is what's fascinating me with Russia right now, is that if they're left to go on unmolested, without a war, the everyday people, what beautiful things can they bring to the table? What other things are they going to design? What new types of cars are going to come out? What type of anything new is going to flourish from this? We see this with China. From when I was a lad, we understood that giving 2 pence towards every McDonald's toy here and there and everywhere. If it is, then, if China managed to make their nation build from that, do you have any accountants? Because if that's what you can do with pennies, could you come and look after some pounds for me? Can you teach me in this? Because you know what, you've got a lot to teach, because, wow. That's incredible. That you can build a whole nation that is bigger than any other nation on the planet with more people, and look at what you are capable of doing. Hats off. Hats off. That is amazing. On a little amount. Yeah, well, this is what we were taught anyway when we were being educated. Now, however much of that is true or not, I don't know. But again, that China pulled themselves out of poverty. Is that correct? Yeah. With the little bits here and there where people were paying very little amounts. And this whole thing with GM crops as well, which gets me going really a lot. Yeah. That here in Britain, they have regulations on GM crops. Now, we've seen the GM crops growing in places where they shouldn't be growing, at the side of roads and different stuff like that. And they're mingling with other plants, and they're not growing at the time of year that they're meant to be growing. They're growing at a different time of year, which again is very strange. Now, does that mean that poses a danger to all the crops that are around the area? Yeah. Right, so it's clear that they haven't been looked after. Okay, and this was the government reassurance to everyone many years back, if they can even remember that, which hasn't been delivered on yet again. No doubt there's no surprise there. So this is being done, and then it will be blamed on farmers, then it will be blamed on this, then it will be blamed on that. The problem is, when you've got children that probably go around and pull things up and maybe throw some things here, there, and everywhere, which happens. Car accidents, maybe into a field and bits go everywhere, whatever it may be. And they say, oh, it won't grow. Rubbish. When you've got all of that GM-ness and that big red tape that they put over everything that you're not to do it and all of that stuff, what do these corporations go and do? Well, they fuck off to another land somewhere else, don't they? In another country, and offer them small amount of money. Yeah. And then they start planting their GM stuff there, thinking they will never reach us in Britain. And we understand about migration and different things like that. I mean, it's not just bees that pollinate. Now, you tell me what part of that even makes it, even you bothering in your own nation to write in rules that don't work all the way around the world. What's the point? So you can't have slave labor here, but you can go to another nation and you can employ slaves.
Yeah. That's where the people work like that in countries like China, don't they? For very little.
So you tell me what part of that is acceptable
hours,
then.
16 hours.
Will you tell me then what part of that is okay?
It's not okay.
Then you tell me what that is then.
I don't like it.
So what's the point in making the rules then?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you told everyone in Britain that you don't need to stick to these rules in this nation, how many people do you think would leave this?
Many.
Yeah, and then watch the empire get over there really quickly and re-establish themselves again. Yeah, to me, this whole existence here feels like one big con after a con after a con after a con. And then you've got our leaders here that are like, oh, God, but what about if corporations just disappeared? Well, let's, like we're supposed to panic on that.
Yeah. Let's go and take them with you.
Well, I don't know, actually. Do they pay a tax? And they'll say no. Why would people care?
Yeah.
But the government are like, start breaking out in a sweat.
Because who will pay into their pockets? People won't. People pay tax, that's enough.
What good is a tax in an empire that doesn't have people?
Yeah.
This nation is destroying itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it already coming.
I see.
The more they're pushing down on the people, the young kids, these are the ones that are really beginning to rise up. Do you notice it? The kids have had enough. The kids have had it. It's a shitstorm waiting to happen here. The kids. It's the kids. And they're going to be pushing a little bit more. You're breaking the backs of parents and sibling and children's environments. The government is getting so far involved that you no longer own your kids. Not that you did own your kids in the first place, but you get what I mean. They are owned by the state. And they'll say that you don't own your children. Yeah, there's no kidding about that. You are not allowed to do this with your children. You can't homeschool. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. You can't look after your elderly folks when they start to break down mentally. You're not allowed to do that. Because we've got somebody else over there that knows better than you do to stick them in a home over here, and then they get neglected inside the home, but that's okay because we'll find them. The only places that you're allowed to mingle in places like that, they'll say that they look after kids. When I was a youngster, they put me in with loads of heroin addicts.
Yeah.
Whilst constantly telling me to be on the lookout because people that associate with people who are heroin addicts usually become heroin addicts. It was almost like I was being told that I should become a heroin addict.
Yeah, that's what was the plan, wasn't it?
That's okay. You're a kid in their eyes because you're not legally past the age of adult. And adults around you that are supposed to know better are sticking you in environments like this.
Yeah.
Because and they tell me to forget my past. I can't forget my past, and I will not be forgetting my past. Not at all. Not at all. No. The day I forget my past will be the day they stop taking records of people and then using their past against them in now moments. Don't forget that. Well, have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got this? Where have you been in your past? What have you done? How many houses you been in? Oh, we need 3 years worth of pastness. So what? I need to let go of my past. That it matters where I have been 3 years ago. What are you going to do? Stop me from getting a house because I don't give you my address histories for the past 3 years? Then we wonder why there are so many people homeless. Perhaps people don't want to give you that information. And 9 times out of 10, when you go and speak to someone who is homeless and you start to offer them ways to get back into housing, they don't want it. You tell me what that's about then. This is supposed to be the most wonderful thing. But to you inside a house, you look at that and think, oh my God, that's terrible. But have you ever actually asked them, do you want to be inside? They don't want it. It's too stressful. And this number is growing and growing and growing. But it makes a great sympathizing advert somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Then you hear about their past, and they were in a dead-end job, no prospects of growing. They went from this to this to this. They were just let down by a system that didn't stop them from falling into the streets in the first place, couldn't care less about them. And now all of a sudden that very same system wants to give a shit, apparently. And the council that is supposed to be there to help homeless people, because that's one thing they collect tax for, say that, oh, if you haven't been in a house or in the district for more than this amount of time, we can't help you. And these are the ones that care about your kids in the future, apparently. Honestly, if you can't even care about an adult, then why should you be caring over kids? You shouldn't. You should leave them alone. No, because when it comes to war, when you own the kids, you can then say subscription, right? Is it subscription? Conscription. Sorry, yes, conscription. Might as well be a subscription. You've got to subscribe to life in this country, haven't you? And you've got to bow down to every corporation that are going, that will charge you over the rent of the month. Each month you pay the same amount. That bill doesn't go down. But oh my God, does your wages go down per month? Now we've got breakfast clubs. That's not paying all people on low income. It's illusion. And then we've got these same leaders that are in power that are catering to corporations. Look at them panic when the corporations were going to leave.
Yeah.
You know, they read that fear. Then you're coming from a fear mindset and you're leading the country from a fear mindset. Whatever happened to that toughness then? Because even with them in the country, don't we keep having recessions?
Yeah.
Well, we're already getting recessions, aren't we? Because everything is really expensive.
Yeah.
And then again this year, every single year, the bills keep going up and up and up. Why? What else is going up? Are the resources to send me that internet going up? Has that subscription gone up in any way? The energy that you need to pay. Companies don't pay a high energy bill. Everything's solar panel. Have you not got enough money to buy solar panels so you don't need to, you can be in control of your own energy supply then?
Yeah.
Can you not make hydrogen generators? Is it really that difficult? I mean, hydrogen is one of the easiest fuels to make.
Put a few turbines somewhere when you are a bigger company. Some solar panels, and there you go.
But then the bill will still go up, because that's not what it's about. And they'll say that they need to pay it to their staff members. Okay, so with this that you've charged from me and everybody else, then what are you going to be paying that money on? Better wages for your staff? Because it isn't going to the staff. Because how can you, from that money, give yourself another £40,000 bonus? And then from that, your profits are going up. You were millionaires last year.
Yeah.
This year you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
How did you become a billionaire?
Yeah.
Well, it's because you keep upping it.
Yeah.
When you times that £1 across the amount of people that you're selling a product to, it then makes sense how you've just become a billionaire, because that money's gone straight into your pocket. If you've got a calculator, which you do, a scientific one, you'd need it because you'll crash your old-fashioned ones because they can't even cope with numbers this big. But you'll get the E at the end of it. So an extreminaire. That's just gone up. And then I'm watching self-employed companies bust. Why are they all going bust? So it'd be very interesting to see how Russians deal with this new climate. And it'll see what new things come. Because that's inspiring. And whether America do the same thing, are walking in those steps right now, where everything seems to be falling down around them with all these corporations, you know, a different company, we'll see what new things come out of that.
Yeah.
America have done it before when they moved to the America back in whenever it was, 1700s. Was it 16? Could even be 15. No, I don't know.
17.
Anyway, well, let's just say back in the times when they migrated to America from Britain and broke away from the establishment and got into a tiff over tea prices and sugar.
Yeah, it was in 1770s
Yeah,
sometime, wasn't it?
1770s, but I think there was some expeditions that went there a
Much
few times
earlier.
much earlier
Yeah,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that information must have come back, and somewhere in Britain, someone must have said to a group of individuals, you know, I'd like to colonise that. And break away from this bloody establishment. So they did it once. They'll do it again. And then when you look at China as well, that creation, look at what they managed to do. And there's more people there. There's more people. Okay, not perfect, I'm sure. But fucking hell, with that little amount of money, look at what you did. That's amazing. That's pretty amazing. So I noticed that there are 3 of these powers that are like sort of, you know, I think they become the guiding lights for everybody else around the world. Because if you can do it, then everywhere else can do that too. And then if there is room for people who are Da Vinci's, Leonardo da Vinci, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of them. A lot of people I know come out with these good ideas, just everywhere. I just hear a lot of it. Oh my days! If there is room for these people to then start to grow and prosper and flourish in these times, and the old restraints that were there fall away, and they say, "Oh, everyone can't be millionaires or billionaires or this, that, and the other." Yeah, because everyone needs to get around a table and have some sort of socialistic plan. It's going to be this much, and this much, and it's going to stay at that. Well, it's going to be costing more. Hang on a minute, the house is already built, isn't it? How can that possibly be causing you more loss of money if you're renting it out? I do not understand. If you're in the process of still paying for it, it makes sense. But if you've already bought and paid for it, how is that property needing to increase in price? That's the bit that doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, it's on repairs. All right, whatever you say.
We see how repairs work here, don't we?
Right, so why would that building that's been around for 400 frickin' years all of a sudden start demanding more money? It doesn't. It doesn't.
No.
And then what? Food must be more expensive. Well, why is that? It used to be done by hand. There was this one guy that would I don't know him. I know of him. Okay, I've met and spoke to him a few times. He grew potatoes. Fucking great old potatoes that you get in a sack, and they last like I mean I bought them the end of summer, so we could be talking around August, September time. I still had these potatoes just as good in the big massive sack of them, right? And carrots as well, like in a net.
Yeah.
Massive sack. And these were lasting me until January. He taught me how to store them safely, what to look for, the do's and the don'ts. And these things lasted me longer than any shop bought I've ever had in my life. And there were so many of them, and they were big, massive, and very filling. He dug all of those up with a fork. A fork and a tractor. Each one of those big, massive bags, you can guess the kilo. I struggle to pick the thing up. I put it in there. It's like trying to move a dead weight. Really, it was heavy. And the carrots, oh my days. It was so much there, right? And it was like 15 quid. 15 quid for a sack of potatoes that are humongous. Not these little tiny little things that I don't even know where Morrison's got them from, but you know, it's like they were like all squidgy when you bought them and stuff, right? And they last like not very long before there's an aroma coming from them. These other ones were covered in dirt. Don't wash them. Wash them when you need them. Blah blah blah. And yeah, you get one big one in the sacks that I get anywhere else, and if you want to buy them bigger, they cost you more money. They don't last very long. Freshly washed. No thanks, I'd rather you keep the mud on it. But we'll charge you for weight. Yeah, noticed. You even sell me dirt. And these lasted for a very long time, these ones. A particular one that I got from a guy that dug them up. And if they were worth only £15 a bag, and mind you, when he put these out, you had to get there pretty quickly because they were gone before you could. He done all of that by hand. One elderly gentleman, I should say, done all of that by hand. And there were leaks and other things. Man, they were so huge, big. I've never seen, every single plant he pulled up was just huge. And then these carrots, these whopping great big carrots. None of these deformed ones where it's like 4 grow in one. They sort of expand outwards as opposed to downwards. Again, because when you buy these seeds, no matter where you buy them from, you are buying the reject seeds. Because these companies want to sell you their rubbish. That's what they're doing. So they find all the seeds that are good and they keep them for next year. And the ones that are a little bit terrible, here you go. Plant those in your garden. They're selling you the rejects. Usually those ones that get tossed out. Ground up and made into something else, usually. Or you couldn't sell them, you couldn't do anything with them, you couldn't grow them. Well, you could leave them naturally grow, but there would be no fun in that. So they then begin to sell you these at a ridiculous price, claiming that they're high grade on a packet, when they're not. They're just giving you the rejects. It's almost like McCain had most of these potatoes in here, Morrison's. They've left me with the ones they didn't want. Which is true. McCain want a certain size, a certain this. Walker's want a certain type, certain this. The ones they don't want, here you go, Morrison's, you can sell those. And so, if this is a gentleman that was a farmer, how could he sell them so cheap? And then, why are other farmers around here not selling their produce? In days of connectivity, you were thinking at one time they're going to start to sell their stuff, and it's going to be even cheaper than what Morrison's could do it for, and they'd still make a profit. But the problem is, I think it's greed incentive. Or they've got a deal that they're not to sell to anybody else. That's probably how it is. If you want to sell in our shop, you're not to sell to anybody else. It's got our brand on it. And again, what is that? That's corrupt. What's wrong with sell to whoever you want? It's your produce, your land. You sell it to them. If they don't accept it, then they don't have any materials to grow, do they? But the problem is, they'll go outside the country and they'll source them from somewhere else. The whole crap of leave the EU, because other food is so much more expensive. Look. And then what happened as soon as we left the EU? What happened to all of the produce here? It went up.
It never was that expensive, was it?
No, because perhaps the EU was giving us some food, but they were saying you can only sell it for a maximum of this. And that's what the corporations didn't like, so they used the people via the newspapers with the money to pay for the story. Perhaps it was done that way. You say you never pay for stories. Want to bet? 2 ways to get a story. 1, they pay you for it, or 2, you pay them. That front page has got to be worth some money. How much do you want it to go on front page? Well, they won't offer it to you, the average Joe, because you'd never afford it. And then they all club together and pay a load of money, and then they can get it in the front page of the paper, saying that it's the EU that's making everything all expensive, when in actual fact we've got fucking hell, that money's already burning holes in our pockets. And now everything has gone up. And then I'll say, well, it's because of this, it's because of that. So why is it then if I were to buy it, which I can't because you've controlled the internet, and they say no one controls the internet, then explain Pirate Bay to me then. Then explain why I can't go directly to Russia and buy gas. Or North Korea. Why can't I go straight to North Korea and say, how much for some batteries of gas? Well, it will be this much. Oh, okay then. Do you accept pounds by any chance? Why, yes, we do. Here you go. How much for postage? This much. Okay, well, make it a big bulkiness for me then, so bulk load. then that comes over on the shipping that would have to be paid anyway. But I'm a guaranteed customer because I've just give it to you.
Yeah.
Then that should be far cheaper than anything in the shops.
Mm.
But I wouldn't be allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I know.
And then if I got into a deal with Iran, how much for your oil? A barrel I'm after. How much would you sell me a barrel for? With postage? Well, we'll give it to you for this much. Well, I wouldn't be allowed to do that. Can't do it with tobacco. Can't do it with this. Can't do it with food. So you're forced to buy it at the most expensive rate because your government is not so good at stopping corporations from doing this, but can stop you, the average person.
Yeah.
Need you tell me what part of a market is that? And then they'll say, oh, sorry, we don't want any more of this produce. Why not? That's not representative of the British people. No, that's representative of one person that is speaking on behalf of all the British people.
Yeah.
Which we didn't elect and we didn't ask for you. But because you say that because you couldn't get a deal with this person, we all have to go without because you're having a pathetic tiff with somebody. Because if you think about it, the modern day people, the pirates of the 20th century would be, hey, rounding up British people, shall we all leave the United Kingdom? Wait, what? Yeah, we're going to go and get some land over there. It's dirt cheap, but if we put all of our money together, we'll be able to buy it. And then whilst we're living there, we'll be able to then start importing and doing different things. What else should we do? Well, we'll also go and work in the UK. Considering we've got a passport means that we can go to the UK and send all of our money over there, and they shouldn't have a problem with it. Well, why not? Because they don't do it with corporations. And what's more, we'll be able to claim all of our tax back as well. And the corporations shouldn't be unhappy with it because they'd love that. Well, why is that? Well, because you're doing it. And then when we begin to do that, you watch them come down. They'll come down on us.
Yeah.
Or will they come down on the corporation?
No. No, they won't.
And then how much of this world is rigged?
Yeah.
So if I started shooting up rockets into space, how quick before the nation comes after me? Or the corporations, not corporations, sorry, the government and everybody else and the council and everything. Damn, I'm not even allowed solar panels. But what happens if I start letting off rockets? I have to know how to do it. In fact, I think I'd get them a lot higher than most of these that are already there. In fact, I would aim it for the moon and get there. So with the difference with all of this stuff, if I'm able to do that, how quick do you think it will take before they come and shut me down?
They will be here the next day, won't they?
And then what sort of terrorist laws would they use on me? Because, I mean, a lot of these terrorism laws are used on me anyway, so name me any more.
I don't know their names, so I cannot.
Well, they'll make them up overnight.
Yeah.
And then why would you do that? Well, why would they do that? They'd confiscate all of my stuff as well.
Yeah, because you know something you are not supposed to know in their eyes.
Okay,
That's
so
all.
what happens if I start selling hydrogen fuel? Into a hydrogen engine? One that isn't quite like everybody else would imagine an engine to be, but it does the job nonetheless. So let's say that happens, then what would happen to me?
They will come again. won't
They
they?
come again and tell me that it's too dangerous, it's this, that, and the other, it's everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
For my safety and for everybody else's safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the problem is, do I have a track record of blowing up other nations?
No.
No. So I think that I should have this for our safety or for the rest of the world's safety. Why is that? Because I ain't putting any payloads on the top of it. Do I make nuclear weapons by any chance? Why, no, you don't. Well, then fuck off then. Because what part of your safety are you on about here? You're the one that makes this dirty shit. You're the one that will go and fire it. You're the one with the deadly red buttons. What is it that I've got a track record of? None of that. I'm going to take a look through my family history as well, because we ain't got any records of doing that sort of stuff. You do. Have I ever forced anyone to go into conscription or anything else like that? Well, no. Okay, go away then. Because I think with these I can take care of myself. So could everybody else. But yet everybody else hasn't got the same intention you've got. I want to go to the moon and space and beyond. Not this. I don't just want to say it year after year, charging more money, but never actually delivering. Go to war with Germany, start something up, we start making a load of rockets when we come out of there, and then we make the IBCMs, and then we no longer continue. But yet you told my family's generation after generation that that's why we went to war, because they would use those rockets to do bad with, and we would use those to do good things with, like get to the moon and go to space and do this. But in actual fact, once you got all of this rocket technology, you were the ones that put the dangerous payloads on top of it. Not even them.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very strange. So yeah, no, I just wonder if these companies have been around since the 1800s. How many generations of people have existed since the 1806 till now? And how many new companies have we seen come up? So we're looking at tobacco companies as well.
Yeah.
Stayed the same.
Yeah.
Car companies.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed the same?
Yeah. In the beginning, some of them didn't make it because the other ones.
What about
were
shops?
shops? Well, there were small grocery shops in the past that are not there anymore.
What about toy manufacturers?
I don't know about those much.
But then if these toy companies shut down,
Mm-hmm.
what happens to the money? What about electricity companies?
Probably the same.
Train manufacturers, buses, trams, food companies. Yeah, because Cadbury's has been around since 1800s, hasn't it? Still about?
Yeah.
Survived wars and everything else, yeah?
Yeah, looks it.
What about Marmite?
Yeah.
So what newer companies are there?
I don't know them.
Or other family business? You mean to tell me there's been no other family business rise up since then? None that I'd recognise.
I recall where my parents lived. There was for a short time
Ice cream?
some shop, like not supermarket but smaller version of it.
Mm.
But then they found it that it was not really good area for them and they left. Whether they are still in business, I don't know. They had a few stores in Prague and behind Prague, but maybe they are gone now. That started as a family business that was called Zeman and Zeman, like surname.
And then they say that corporations, giants, knock them out.
Yeah. And then bigger companies came not to this area but close next to the next bus stop. Something came and another bus stop, not this one and again that one. And these ones didn't have enough customers.
So if we went to a vote here in the UK, go fight a battle in faraway lands or stop this here so that you can rise up with a company, which one do you think they'd pick?
Who would pick it?
Everyone. here in Britain, if you went to the people, go fight a battle in faraway lands, but call it what it is. Murder people in faraway lands, mass murder, or sort out the shit that's here. Make it a more fair society. Life's what you make it. Clearly, with that one here, with you paying for the heat pump out of taxpayers, this, that, and the other. With doing all of that sort of stuff, is life what you make it?
No, you need masses to make it something.
Right, we've got
Many
masses.
people.
We've got many people.
Yeah.
They've all got their addresses in a database. It's quite easy to reach out to all of them. Remember, the council say that we need to know where his whereabouts is. They need to know where everyone's whereabouts is. So we can write to all of these people and ask them a question, a fair one, that is not related into human behavior. They study human behavior in order to be able to manipulate people. That's how it is. No one studies human behavior in order because they just want to make people better. You know, you can always predict people who have bad intentions, but you can't predict intelligence. Did you know that?
Oh, you told me that.
You can't. Try it. Try and predict an intelligent person's next move.
don't know how.
If Einstein was still here, we just use this as a fabric. But still, if Einstein was still here, could you predict his next move?
No,
Do you think anyone around at the time could predict his next move?
no,
His next theory?
no.
No, but someone who's been doing shitty deeds and doing shitty stuff, can you predict it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you an example. The UK government, can you predict their moves?
Yeah.
Can you predict another government's moves?
Yeah. Up taxes and
Huh?
do some funny laws that are not really funny and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you can predict all of that.
Yeah.
And then run out of tax. Then don't have enough tax.
Yeah.
Then need more tax.
Yeah.
Then need to make harsh cuts.
Yeah. All
Right,
of
so you
them
can
have
predict quite
holes,
evil
yeah.
stuff, really, can't
Yeah.
you? That they're going to go for people on benefits, but they never go for prisoners.
Yeah.
That they're going to go for NHS doctors and dentists and privatise it. You can predict this. Behaviour like this is predictable because it's not intelligence. That's acting in what we would call in the negative all the time. It's fear-based, it's this, that and the other, it's guaranteed. They keep talking about World War III. They can't talk about their problems. They can't find solutions to world problems without blowing each other up. They attach rockets to aircrafts. Could you predict the next set of equipment that's going to come out? Well, it will be something that flies or hovers or moves.
Drone.
Right, so we can predict that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you give them a battery-powered car, predict what they could do with it. Predict what they could do with hydrogen. Predict what they would do with nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Blow it.
Right, so, but the intention of making nuclear power was for that reason. Power.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But predictable, what did they do? Stick it on the end of an IBCM. Make nuclear power for their submarines.
Yeah.
It's predictable. All of this is predictable. It's so easy that you can predict it. You don't need any critical thinking. History repeats itself. Name me one good that they've done throughout society so far. Not for their small friends, their business friends. Not for that,
I don't know.
but predict what they've done for the masses that have really helped the masses out.
I don't know about anything.
No, can soon find money for all of this stuff, but can't find money when it comes for giving someone something to eat. When it comes for cutting benefits, when it comes for getting your teeth sorted, when it comes for health programs, when it comes for giving wages to people that are saving people's lives day in and day out. No, can't find it for that, right? Can't find workers, can't find doctors, can't train them up, can't do this. Find me some soldiers. So you can force people into a battle that they don't want to do, but you can't force people to be doctors. You can force people to lay down their life for their country, wink.
Well, you don't need to force people to be doctors, but they don't get much chance with how much it costs you.
So how can you do this, but you can't force corporations to do what they're meant to do?
Because they will walk away.
You can't force housing associations to look after their houses and bring them up to standards. But you can force the masses to pay a tax to bring them up to standards through grants.
Yeah.
You can force people that don't look after their taxes very well by taking all of their stuff, but you can't force corporations by taking away their assets to look after their houses. You can force a large majority of people to pay their taxes, but you can't force one individual in a corporation to pay theirs. You have money and resources to go after tens of thousands of millions of people in the United Kingdom who have very little, which abuses the law and the way it stands, that someone who is can't afford to pay should not be bothering the courts with this because it's illegal to do so, right? Did you know that?
No.
To go after someone who is not worth that value costs more money, and therefore it becomes a debt to the state. This is a law that is written in Old English laws. They'll probably come up with a few acts, but still, whilst they do it, right, so they can change all of these laws, but they can't change the ones that then go after one or two people that own a company. That if you don't tax and pay the tax, we're going to take your property. Because they'll say that they'll leave the country. That's what they're worried about.
Yeah.
So they leave the country. What are they going to do? Take every brick with them?
No.
They're going to take the houses, do an Anneka Rice, moving houses.
No.
Take it down brick by brick, lift up the foundation, move it to another country and build it back up like they did with Rose Red.
No.
Every single house they're going to do.
No. No.
So they're going to leave with all of their ingredients, right? And you can't make these ingredients here. But once they're gone, does it really matter? You can steal from everyday people, but you can't steal from these corporations once they've left. But you can steal from people who are living inside the United Kingdom every single day and take away their companies from them before they've even lifted the ground and give them off to your friends, but you can't do it to other people. You can't do it to corporations that are already here. Because they've patented them. Yeah, but who have they patented them with? With us, the government. And you can't. You respect those patents that you give them.
There's not just those patents. There's different
But
stuff.
you can't do this to
Yeah.
the people that live inside the nation that are born here. Via birthright, you can't protect all the people inside the kingdom. With their ideas, their stuff. You can't protect them, but you can protect someone because you gave them a piece of paper and they patented it and they gave you some money. But yet someone who's given you tax, they don't. And they're apparently not giving you any money. Do you see where I get a little bit confused with this?
Yeah.
Not confused. I see it quite clearly, actually. So I see it for what it is, exactly what it is. They can play around with all the ingredients in the food, but you can't do anything because they might leave the country.
Oh my God.
Oh my God! And they will take all their poison with them.
Yeah.
And then you can then make something minus those poisons and hunky ding.
It will be tasty.
It will be tasty. It will be good.
Yeah.
Your population will be pleased with you. Well, at least that votes you into power for a little bit longer. But not my corporation. I need my corporations. It'll be a cry from one eye to the other eye, right? That's how all narcissists cry, apparently. Just one. So no, there's going to be some good creation come out of this, and I'm just interested to see the way it's going to, pan out. And then America looked like they're on the verge of something, so I wonder how that's all going to pan out as well. More opportunity for more people. So what I was saying was, if you have, let's say, right, they're building these housing associations. Let's say they turned a new leaf. And they're like, you know what, fuck it. With your leadership, this will be great. Okay then, ladies and gentlemen, then if you were leading a corporation such as the housing corporations, which I thought governments were leading all of the corporations, but clearly not. But if I was leading them, they would build new towns and new cities that would look so beautiful that people would they would be inundated with application forms. But it'd have to be a give and take. The rest that choose not to do this,
Yeah.
they will lose all of their people. Because these properties that they are living in now, in these types of conditions, would become dated. What's more, they'd have the biggest workforce as well, which these people would be paid very handsomely in order to make it work, and something more better would come, and it would work to function with the environment, so it's not so backbreaking. I mean, the people that worked in this company would become the new pioneers, the heroes, if you like. And these places would be beautiful places to live. So beautiful that anyone rich in a palace somewhere would want to come and live here as well. Give up their palace. Because it would be the very thing that they have always envisioned. But just could see it in the subconscious mind, but just couldn't materialize it. No, it'd be a very beautiful thing, that would. Yeah, I think I got that. But it couldn't just be done for one. They'd all need the opportunity to do so. But there again, it only takes one. And this could be built in 5 years. This would be very fast. 5 years, 10 years, it would be complete. And then it would be an ongoing trend. That would be a plan that would be laid down. So 15 years and you've got a pretty hunky-dory society. But these houses would have to be built in mind that you would be building new towns. Do you know what? We haven't seen any new towns. Think about it. You just got more and more fucking houses being added. But what you got? Nothing. And then we all gravitate around this same shit-stained, dog-shitty-stained, pissed and sick and vomit for the best part since the 1800s. Actually, 1500s. That the same people have been going to pubs, blood and shit and piss and everything else is all over that town.
Yeah,
But we're gonna keep
horses
gravitating
and now
there.
dogs. And,
Pheromones are strong here.
yeah.
It's nice to have a pet, but you're going to pay for it. That's the difference. It's going to need to be cleaned up after. Oh, look, I put it in a sandwich bag. Yeah, I'm sorry, but don't forget to clean out your nails. But, you know, you're going to need to, we're going to need to clean the streets, and you're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah.
I don't want to pay for it. Well, then you shouldn't have a pet then, should you? But I'm paying so much in my vet bill. Yes, yes, indeed you are.
Yeah. That's what it's insurance for.
Is it
For
though?
rich people.
But is it though?
Yeah, for
This has been cashed in on.
For rich people, insurance for animals.
This is cashed in. Do you not think that people are not competent enough to use anaesthetic to their own pets and do an operation themselves? Do you think that people, if they could get hold of numbing agents, would pull their own teeth? Or find someone in their family that would be willing to pull a tooth for them?
Maybe that one, yes. I don't know though.
You honestly think that the population are so stupid that they couldn't fix a pet? They couldn't put a cast on their own children's arm if they break it? Honestly, we think that people are so stupid that they don't know how to do this, and this. The chances are, even if you go to hospital, in some cases, you can still die. Hey, it's not brain surgery. You don't think people know how to put a splint on a set of fingers?
Yeah.
This would take a hell of a burden off of them if this was taught. No, it's become over complex so that it makes good amount of money for corporates. And they'll say that they're not making as much money. Are you sure? Our CEO only gets this much, and the dentists only get paid this much when they're in. I noticed this other argument going about. Are you sure? Fuck me. Release that anaesthetic and I'll use it myself. I got a mate that'll pull them out for me.
Yeah.
He'd do it for a tenner. What do you think they used to do in the old days? The days before all of this, they just left the teeth in, do they? They don't do this in tribes. They take them out.
I don't know. Yes, they do.
Because it's become so. Everyone is so dumbed down. They're lacking confidence in these sort of things. I find that very strange. Well, what about stitching? Stitching.
Of what?
Well, do you think that you were capable, if you gashed yourself, that you could stitch yourself? If you could numb it? See, it's a different question when you ask whether you could numb it. If you could numb it and you were numb and didn't no longer feel that, would you be able to quite happily stitch yourself? First, you'd practice on a garment, but so that before that time came, would you be able to stitch yourself? And I got an example for you, and cauterizing and different things like that. Bleed out in a situation waiting for a paramedic to turn up, or have a go at clamping it yourself. Which would you pick?
Never try, I suppose.
But we don't. We sit there bleeding out and waiting for something to happen. What about choking machines, where people choke? It's one of the biggest killers in the United Kingdom. How many parents are taught and given a tool that removes the debris and unblocks the child or other adult's airway and clears it? None. Zero. Zilch. Why? Which one do you think shows more? Which one could save a life? Waiting for someone that could take up to 15 to 20 minutes to turn up? Do you know how long it takes before you get brain damage without having oxygen supply to the brain?
Not very long.
So that's a numbers game then.
Yeah.
And whilst you're in that moment, watching it or receiving it, by that time you'd have passed out, but still, you would then feel hopeless. Why is that? Because you've got no way to do it. Do you know there's multiple things around the house that would clear that airway? Then there would need to be lessons instilled into people of how to deal with that situation.
But people here are not even taught to help when there is a car accident on the side.
I know.
We were taught some basics, not like stitching or stuff, but how to stop blood and stuff like that. We were taught that at school.
You have to
several
pay for that.
times.
You pay to be taught that. You've got to pay to be taught that.
We didn't have to pay.
Yeah, so it hasn't been incorporated yet.
Yeah.
But it will come that way before so long. It will be another thing in your nation, probably, that I can't speak for your nation entirely. But it seems that if it was here in Britain, that's another thing where I can make money on it.
It was in civics we were learning that.
Oh, yeah, that's not part of your education. No.
No?
No. Well, maybe it is now, but I don't know. I doubt it.
We had that. We had that at school.
Are you kidding me? To teach you that for free inside your school education, do you know what that stops? That stops a corporation from making money. You're taking food out of a corporation's baby's children's mouth. Can't have that.
That's terrible.
Well, that's how it is here. We favour money over human life here. That's the way we've been taught to operate, and we've been indoctrinated to accept that.
And because of that, people have to have, it's mandatory to have first aid kit in each car, for example. It's probably throughout Europe, I think. Because you know how to use it, you have to have it, and you have to use it. And if you don't use it and you run away, that's crime. That's criminal offense.
Right? And then the NHS could make first aid kits that when you buy it, the money goes to the NHS. A robot could put that shit together.
Yeah,
And
it
then
has
this
to be-
money generated goes into the NHS. But the problem is with that, they'll lower the taxes. Not your taxes to pay for the NHS. No, they'll lower the money that they pay into the NHS pot, which is dangerous territory. Because
has
once
to
everyone
be.
has bought it,
It has to be replaced every, I don't know how many years, because the expiry date of materials. So maybe 5 years, I don't know, 5 years.
nah. Now we don't have anything like that.
So we used to learn that. Even the breathing and saving someone. That later on I was learning in Canada, and I had to take a course that we were learning too. And I think there was the one with the children.
Did you pay?
No, that was at school.
So it's for free.
In Canada, it was a course that
So you had to pay for the course.
yeah.
So if you hadn't have taken that course, you wouldn't have learned that.
I wouldn't have the certificate for the nursing school in Canada.
Well, there you are.
But that is
Yeah, how much money
Commonwealth,
do you think that makes?
isn't it?
Yeah, but how much do you think that makes?
I don't know.
Well, there you are. It's a corporation.
Yeah, corporation. Yeah. But if I want it in Czech Republic certificate, I would probably have to go and.
So let me get this straight. If you passed, you then have to buy your certificate. So you pass, and then you have to pay for your certificate.
No, I think you pay for the course, and
So you
the
pay for the
certificate
right,
is
so
at the end.
it's corporate then.
Yeah.
So not to stick that into the education system. For
No,
people
in
then.
the Czech Republic,
Weird.
there's no certificate. You just learn that. As a little kid, then at least 3 times I had it. Maybe more, but I remember 3 times as a little kid, then a little bit older, and then at high school.
So let me guess, the same thing is taught for people, which is absolute rubbish. It hardly ever works sometimes, but it's less not than it does, is to do the Heimlich maneuver.
You never done the Heimlich maneuver.
Rather than head up, open mouth, a tool in with a light, and remove what is blocking that.
A Heimlich is...
Bashing on the back of the...
Heimlich
This
is no
is
longer-
what is taught. Do you think that is a good enough process? Honestly, I'm going to ask you straight up, do you think that is good enough?
So what is taught?
To pull on the... And then that's
That's
to be...
obsolete though.
Oh, is it still obsolete, is it? What about knocking on the back? So what do you do then if someone is
knocking
choking?
on the back was there for... Yeah, wasn't there coughing and knocking on the back with that? And then, yeah, they teach here Heimlich actually.
Okay,
But I
so
learned
the
years-
Heimlich... All right, so you're going to tell me that is obsolete.
Yeah, because I recall from Canada that they said that it was obsolete. Isn't that funny? Many years ago it was obsolete, but only in some country, different country.
They found new ways of taxating and charging you money and doing all of this and upping your council tax and everything else, but they have not made one single tool that goes in and is called a breech blocker that removes the debris from the throat.
They had something like a pump in a Melton House that you put to your mouth, and it has this harmonica sort of a bell, plastic, and you have to... But it depends on the strength. I suppose it might be dangerous. I don't know. So later on it was not there. But when I came there, I recall it because I was like, what is that? And I looked at the pictures there. It was in the kitchen, not in the kitchen, in the dining room next to the kitchen door. That's why I recalled it. I was like, what is that? Because I've never seen it. Only there.
No.
That's the only
I'm
tool
sorry,
I've ever
it's
seen.
really not good enough.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
it is.
it is. I'm just saying that's what I thought.
Again, it's like you barely even tried to even solve the problem. Head back, torch, look down, find, release, grab, pull the breech out. And the individual, whether conscious, would help if they're conscious. You don't want them to go unconscious. You don't want them to start going into, is it called cardiac arrest? when you begin to shut down.
Yeah.
I think there's something will go on, an adrenaline release will happen, which again is good for widening the airway. But I think learning to tame that gag reflex, head back, and down you go. And you pull it out. It should be less than a 5-minute procedure. If that, within 5 minutes, it should well and truly be out. And it's 2 ways to deal with it, in my understanding. If it's blocking the flap of skin, it's blocking off the airway and it's wedged in there, and you really can't grip it enough to pull it out, then you push it down. Now, this poses a problem, but the patient is breathing. And there's a potential that the person could vomit. Well, that gives you more than enough time to be ready for surgery. It gets you to a hospital, you're still breathing. Cross that bridge when we come to it. But I think the body is more cleverer than we give it credit for in that aspect. So, yeah, there is another one. If it's lodged in between the airway, that should be easy enough to grab and pull it up. You may rip the line in there. But I can tell you something. I'd rather have a ripped liner than not be able to breathe. No, I find this subject is quite one that just shows a society that just doesn't give a shit about their people as far as I'm concerned. And then we play on it that everyone's too stupid to know what they're doing. That's bollocks. You'll find one person in a group of people that are more than confident enough to have a go at that. And rather they attempt than stand around acting all fucking helpless. No, I just find all of this ridiculous. This nation cares more about fucking... They've got more than enough to have people come in and tax you and tell you not to have this and not to have that. You've got no one looking at society and thinking, what are the biggest killers, these things? What are we doing about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. There you are. Government, Labour, you might be able to charge a tax for that. Just throwing it out there. But you'd have to care first, though, wouldn't you, about your population? It's ridiculous, as far as I'm concerned. It's absolutely retarded. And we've all got houses that are built with water tanks and mains. But they'd rather build your house made out of asbestos than breach your water tank in the event of a fire. You have a fire alarm, but does it turn off your power, trip your switch and then flood your house with water to put it out?
No.
Does it automatically open all of your windows in that event?
No.
No. Does it make a draft come through so it can suck out all of the smoke, considering it's carbon monoxide that will kill you before you hear the alarm anyway? No, we've got none of that.
No.
But no, this house has passed its safety check. I don't understand how. Because I'm pretty sure if something got burning, I wouldn't hear the alarm. And by that time, there would be so many toxic fumes that already have passed out. But yet, if there was a draft system that comes in, sucks the air out. I mean, you got those hoovers on the ceiling anyway. Another one, it turns off your electricity. Automatically puts on some lights that you can see. Perhaps would be better on the floor, actually. You need lights on the floor, not the ceiling. But don't take my word for it. I've been in tons of burning buildings. You can see the floor. But you can't see any light on the ceiling. Nor your lights that are on. Forget it. It will block out windows. If they were lit up down near your skirting board, you'd know the way out.
Yeah, that's what is in some bigger buildings, isn't it? The lights on the...
Well, lights on the floor, and secondly to that matter is fresh oxygen coming in. Sure, it's going to burn the fire anyway, and, you know, it's going to burn anyway. Even if it fills up with smoke, you then start, it increases the temperature. The fire doesn't actually completely go out. It learns to burn the opposite way. It's really weird. Then you reach flashover. It becomes very hot and the cloud acts like a blanket, much like you would understand global warming. This then causes the temperature to increase, and then things start catching fire because they're already so hot. It reaches a level that when it reaches past this certain temperature, 104, I think, give or take, I think when it starts to reach past that, things just catch fire just as quick as that. You hit a load of oxygen into that, that's then what causes flashover, also known as a backdraft. But yet, if you were to have a device that was activated in all the rooms that started sucking out all of this very quickly, it does two things. One, it stops it building up with smoke. Two, there's fresh oxygen supply that anybody inside the building would hopefully wake up or not pass out. Yes, the fire is going to be inferno by that point because you're feeding it, but you're feeding it anyway. You deal with this. You turn off the power, except for the lights. They run on a separate relay. They're waterproof. And then you discharge your water tank or you burst your water main. I think water damage is far easier to clean up than it is if you've burnt your building down. Don't take my word for it, though. I mean, that's more useful than fucking asbestos building, but there you are. You see, this would be mandatory and all homes would have this process put in. Sorry, fire brigade, but you're not needed for this one. Why? It's been extinguished by the process that was already in. Do you call this a smart house, do you? Why? Because it talks to you. Won't save your life in a fire, though, would it? And I wouldn't trust my life on a robot. Why not? Because, motors get rather hot, and so do hydraulics, and they're prone to not work so well in heated environments. And then, no my luck, there'd be a CME happen. One that's really powerful, a bit like Tunguska. That was from a meteorite, wasn't it? No. Back in 1860, was it? 17? No, 18. When did they first? 19? Could have been in 19, where they had the massive CME that happened and it caused all of the phone cables to fry.
Yeah, when they started with phone cables, that would be more like end of 18, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it could have been around the 18s. Yeah, it could have
18
been, yeah.
something, but more like
1806?
more later, probably.
1866? 1876? I don't know.
Something like that, I would, yeah.
And then it caused a lot of those to become on fire, yes?
Yeah.
Did you know that life forms have made technologies before you have done it as humans? Yeah, there was a massive event that happened, but it's a strange event. It happens periodically, and then all technology becomes obsolete for a very long time. People walk away from empires after this happens. It's weird, isn't it? It's not very strange.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is.
None of it is protected. And even if it was protected, you know what you'd have to do in order to protect that. Oh, it'd take more than CERN.
Yeah, CERN will grill as well when that happens, won't it?
To a degree.
Yeah, it won't?
Yeah, it will. It'd put up a good fight, but it wouldn't last for long.
It's not that deep, is it?
I'm on about the magnetic field.
Oh, okay.
There's a problem with the magnetic field itself. This is such an intense thing that humans have a magnetic field, yes?
Yeah.
You get your own little human aurora borealis happen around you.
Yeah.
It's also known as a halo around humans. Can you believe that? The humans walk around with halos?
Yeah, if we have a heart with the charge, then there must be something.
You have two. Not hearts, but two
Yeah, too.
northern lights, southern and northern lights. One's more stronger than the other, though. And humans look like they've got massive wings. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
But all electrical equipment, and it lasts for a very long time, all electrical equipment no longer works. And even if it did come anywhere near you, it's fried.
Yeah.
It never works again. Whether you're out in space, another planet or not.
You can make pile from it. You can make pile from it.
Yeah, but some people's magnetic fields are far bigger than others. We'll be forgetting how big your muscle is, or how big your wang is, how big your breasts are. No, it will be about magnetic fields. How big is your field? Then you'll notice how it interacts with each other. Then it starts off the whole, people start talking like Stoics. You've got nothing else better to do anyway. Then it's relying on memory. Then it's relying on what you know. Then you'll pass down stories. By that point, many generations would have come. The technology would have decayed and gone by then. The oceans would have moved. You're not going to pick up a right if you've got large amounts of water come in and the land masses begin to shift. Are you going to be picking up a mobile phone that doesn't work
No,
in order to preserve a piece of history?
no,
No. Fuck that.
you'll draw somewhere pictures that someone will, like, I don't know how many centuries or millennia later, will say that you were worshipping God.
You'll find that more intelligent the person, this is what they'll learn, the more intelligent they are, the more ability to hold memories, the more bigger the magnetic field is. Then people will start talking about this. But they also look like angel wings. It's beautiful, by the way. It's beautiful. It's very nice. The colors are interesting. You'll notice these fluctuate in different colors depending on the person's mood. Bigger the field, and plus there's more energy for the body to do more things with. Did you know that?
No.
It's a very interesting thing. It's only ever been spoke about, and it looked at more like myth that the ancients were just going on about some weird shit because they got too tripped out. No, it's because they were passing down stories that have been twisted into time throughout time. We now look at these angelic beings as something that came from the sky. No, something came from the sky and made the magnetic field around humans a bit more triggered, noticeable. You just don't notice it right now because it's not reacting with anything. Earth's one's shielding you from a lot of stuff. But there comes a time when Earth's one doesn't do too well. You become it. And you would think that things in your vicinity would be saved from this massive event. It's coming, by the way. You've got one coming. So whether here or in space, best land your beasts on the floor before that time happens. All equipment ceases to exist. Houses? What the fuck do I want a house for? Nothing works in it. And then you'll find that houses make you very sick when they don't have these like electrical stuff in it. In order to keep it warm, they become too damp. They fall apart. People just abandon them. There's a whole new different way of living. Governments fall every single time. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Biggest empires always fall.
Yeah, I know that part.
You'll be surprised. You want to take a look at what metal does then?
What does it do?
You'll find out. Everything begins to respond completely different to whatever you've been taught. Just everything changes. Also, the body has to do something with all of this energy. It's not just a pretty light show, you know? For once, you resonate with the earth. You feel what it feels. And then it makes you ask a lot more questions, very deep questions. Is if you feel it, can the earth be feeling it too? Then if the earth feels it and it's doing it, and it really puts you into this oneness with all of the rest of the planets and even the star itself and all the other stars in the cosmos. It's a very interesting thing. Big wings. This excess power unlocks a few things within you as a vessel, as a human. And there's a reason why the greatest empires fall in these moments. It's a very interesting reason. Shan't spoil it because that'll be like pulling a party popper before the time has come. That's not great. But there is a reason behind it. One that can't be bullshit. Becomes a very strange world though. It really does. It becomes quite magic, especially at night. Everyone wants to be out at night. You become nocturnal. Wow, it's beautiful. And people migrate in massive droves towards the equator. It's wonderful. They can't help it. There's also a very strange thing when loads of people come together. It is beautiful. I've give you enough tidbits for you to know what I'm going on about. Whether you can piece them all together yourself, they all fit in like a puzzle. But yeah, any robots, they cease to exist.
Yeah.
They become statues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuck in time. Froze. And when it all unlocks again, people have long but forgot about those times. And in fact, because they were so toxic, people will forget on purpose. Yes. Think about it. Why would you want to remember that? It's not because you choose not to or the society chooses not to. No, it's the if you don't know it, perhaps it won't happen again type. They purposely move away from it. They purposely forget it. And then you get a oneness. It's wonderful. It's very strong. It's very beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. Yeah, it's another symbol that I've made, and I will dive into that deeper later on because there's loads there. I mean, again, it's just very tidbits at the moment. Very small amounts. But the halo around the head is interesting. Can you think where the other part is?
Around the heart.
You see, you think that. You think it emanates from the heart, but it doesn't. It doesn't emanate from your heart. Yes, perhaps the magnetic field comes from your heart.
Yeah.
But then that would be asking the Earth, does this come from the heart of the planet? And the core's like, fuck no!
I don't know.
You ask the planet, does it come from your heart?
You already said that.
Yeah, I know, but you would ask the planet that. Then it would probably giggle and make a little earthquake as it giggles. Interesting. And it'll be like, well, why have not astronauts had it? Well, because there's another event that takes place. It's big. Well, you gotta get over that first. Most of the time, humanity have done it before. And they've done it every single time. Will they do it this time? Absolutely. Every single time.
They should.
Yeah, they will. It's an interesting sort of way to exist. It is. But there you are. Anyway, I'm going to leave these here because these went on quite a bit. So there you are. They are what they are.